Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review American Fighter. And this is about a young Middle Eastern man whose father is murdered and his mother is stuck in his native country, and he's desperately trying to get money to get her out of the country to come to America. So he starts to do this underground fighting ring that his friend points him out to, and from there, we have American Fighter. And this is from director Sean Paul Piccichino, who previously did California Christmas and Wheels of Fortune. Both were Netflix original films. The California Christmas one, I thought was okay. Wheels of Fortune was terrible. So I'm like, oh no. How am I supposed to feel about this film? Sitting and watching this, I thought that this had a decent amount of merit, and you have George Kastoros, who plays Ali, who's our main character here, and you have his best friend played by Brian Craig, but the two veterans in the film, Tommy Flanagan plays the guy, McClellan, who runs this underground fighting, is very manipulative, tough guy, and then you have this drunk named Duke, who's a former fighter, played by Sean Patrick Flannery, aka one of the Boondock Saints, who kind of becomes like a Mickey-type role for Ali in the film. And this film starts off very gritty, like gritty fight sequence, and then it becomes so 80s, like 80s college thing, and I'm like, okay, and then it shifts gears to Ali's father being assassinated on the tarmac of an airport. And you're just like, what is this film doing to me tonally right now? And there's definitely moments where it feels much darker and a serious kind of film. And then there's scenes where it feels like a bunch of training montages to 80s music. And I'm like, I don't know how this film reconciles its tone, but in general, it's more of a serious film. There's just times where it pops in and it gets like super 80s out of nowhere. But I feel like this film justifies having a meaningful reason and a justifiable reason why Ali's doing this, because he wants to save his mother's life. And he gets called on because like he has this budding relationship with this girl from college, and he's not always there because he's caught up doing this fighting thing, and she confronts him, calling him selfish at times. It's just like, dude's obviously like not handling things well, but like he's obviously doing this for a really good reason. But like from a filmmaking perspective, the film feels very flat. Like the colors, the cinematography, but when you get into the action sequences and the fights, they're pretty cool and pretty well shot, and it's pretty exciting during those sequences. And so like that quality action, and honestly the score here was getting me pumped up a bit. So I'm like, I appreciate that. And this is from composer Jamie Christopherson, and it's like there's moments where it's like feels very triumphant and really intense as well. And of course the soundtrack, they throw in a whole bunch of like great 80s music. There's an 80s training montage, and you're just like, yup, now I feel like I'm watching Rocky IV. And throughout this film you have, yes, there's definitely cliches here and tropey. You know exactly how this film's gonna go. You could probably predict beat by beat everything that's gonna happen. But, Kastoros does a really fine job in this film, and Flanagan's tough guy and works well. And I appreciated Sean Patrick Flannery for the performance he did as Duke. He fills that mentor role really well, and he was very believable in it. And there's a lot of tough guys here, a lot of big muscle guys, fighting guys. It gets brutal, it's violent. In American Fighter, had a different setup than I was imagining, but once it really got into the plot, it's what you think it's going to be. And you know what? It does a fine job at doing that. This isn't a great film. It's a fine film. It's okay, and if this is something that you think you'll enjoy, check it out. I think you will. If this kind of like fighting type things and like sports movies is not your bag, then this one isn't going to be something transcendent to change your mind. But those are my thoughts on American Fighter. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.